Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down the events of a single fictional day, April 6th, 2026. Think of it as a thought experiment, a day designed to show us how a bunch of different global crises, everything from energy to AI, could all converge at once, pushing our interconnected world right to the brink.
So the day kicks off with this pretty stark ultimatum. President Trump drops a final deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which is, a critical artery for global trade. And as the quote makes crystal clear, the threat is explicit. It immediately sets two major powers on a collision course.
But here's the thing. This wasn't just about one standoff in the Middle East. As we're about to see, the events of this single day uncovered this whole web of interconnected conflicts. We're talking energy, technology, and human rights, all boiling over at the exact same time.
Okay, so let's start with the most visible battle of the day, the one fought over the very resources that power our entire planet. This wasn't just a military conflict, it was a full-blown energy war, and its consequences were felt across the globe almost instantly.
Everything centered right here, in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's blockade of this choke point was like putting a chokehold on the world's energy supply. And the very first effect? Well, that was felt in the markets, immediately.
And that immediate result? Oil prices just shot up, holding steady at a really volatile $110 per barrel. For economies everywhere, a number like that means uncertainty, it means inflation, and it's a direct hit to both businesses and, well, to us.
And this slide is a perfect example of just how far those ripples spread. The crisis wasn't contained to the Gulf. Thousands of miles away, a country like Nepal was forced to change its entire work week just to save fuel. It's a wild reminder of how deeply tangled up our global energy system really is.
Now, this is where things get really fascinating. You've got this parallel strategy unfolding. On the very same day, in two totally separate conflicts, we see the exact same tactic. Go after the enemy's money machine. On one side, Israel hits Iran's petrochemical complex. On the other, Ukraine targets Russia's key oil export terminal. This is what modern warfare looks like. It's fought directly on the balance sheets.
And yeah, the conflict was not staying put. Iran started expanding its attacks to neighboring Gulf states, hitting their critical infrastructure. At the same time, you have these big diplomatic chess moves happening. President Zelensky making a surprise visit to Syria, all while peace talks were just completely falling apart. The whole situation was spiraling.
Okay, but the fight for who's on top wasn't just about oil. There was a quieter, but maybe just as intense, war being fought over technology, specifically over the silicon chips that power the future of artificial intelligence.
So on this same day, a massive deal gets announced, creating this powerful new triangle in the AI race. You've got the chip maker, Broadcom, supplying custom hardware to Google, which then gives more computing power to the AI firm Anthropic. This move basically creates a new technological heavyweight with some serious capabilities.
And they are not wasting any time putting that power to use. The U.S. floated a plan to fundamentally change how the United Nations operates, proposing to use AI to run meetings and handle all the admin work. It's a move to embed this new tech right into the heart of global governance.
But, it's so easy to get lost in all this high-level strategy and these big corporate deals. We have to remember that these global power plays, whether they're for oil or for silicone, have a very real and often brutal human cost.
And then you get stories like this, where the conflict becomes incredibly personal. We hear about a daring rescue mission for a single downed pilot deep inside enemy territory. It's just a powerful reminder of the individual lives at stake behind all the headlines about strikes and ultimatums.
And talk about a stark contrast. On one hand, you have humanity literally reaching for the stars, with NASA's Artemis II setting a new record for space travel. But then you look back on Earth, and a policy decision, a freeze on visa extensions, is creating critical shortages of doctors in U.S. hospitals.
And this really drills it down to the most personal question, doesn't it? It moves way beyond a political debate and asks something very direct about the human consequence. When doctors can't work, who is left to care for the sick?
And while all these new crises are exploding, the old ones don't just go away. The fight for justice on other human front lines presses on. In Indonesia, a criminal case was filed to get accountability for the alleged genocide against the Rohingya people. It's a vital reminder that while new fires are starting, the world is still trying to put out the old ones.
So, after a single day of all these interconnected crises, of ultimatums, market shocks, and technological power grabs, where does all this leave us?
I mean, what does it mean when all these fronts go hot at once?
What we've seen on this one day is really a perfect storm. The timeline just lays it all out. A military deadline threatening war, an energy crisis sending shockwaves through the economy, a massive consolidation of technological power, and that undeniable human cost that ties it all together.
And that's what this day, April 6, 2026, really forces us to confront, this incredibly sobering question. It reveals a world where multiple systems are under extreme stress all at the same time. And it leaves you wondering about the fragility of it all, and what happens when one of those systems finally gives way.